What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new series. This is Daily Driven Superbikes. This is a brand new show, that you see a lot of people, they're doing reviews on brand new bikes and 2017s, the 18s, the leader bike shootouts, all these on brand new. A lot of people can't afford $15,000-$16,000 motorcycles. So this show is where I search the market and find the best bang for the buck at a certain price point. So this is episode 1. I hope you guys enjoy the show. And today's topic is the best everyday superbike you can buy for $10,000 or less. All right, so before I show you guys what the winner is, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already probably know what the best everyday, day in, day out superbike is, or at least a lot of people's opinions are. But I do want to go ahead and name the runner-ups. That way no feelings get hurt when we just unveil who won the best everyday superbike for less than $10,000. So the runner-ups, and they were very close. I'm sorry, Jap fans, but Kawasaki and Suzuki were very close, tied for second place on everyday bikes. They did have little quirks that you could live with, especially most of us, we upgrade our bikes anyways, so it wouldn't really matter. But the biggest thing is that what they offer out of the box is not as good as what other manufacturers offer out of the box. So that being said, Kawasaki and the ranges, under 10 grand, you're looking at basically like a 2011, to the newer models. Wouldn't go all the way up to the 14, 15 before the new bike came out, but basically it's for what you get. You get traction control, which is good. And on the Suzuki, we were doing the 2012 to 14, which was along that price range, 9, 10 grand. And the problem was, all it had going for it really was brakes. It had the Brembo calipers on it, but it just, for what you got as a package, there was no all-around winner out of those two bikes. Now that being said, the Yamaha, you can get the 2012 13, which does have traction control, has a lot of features, but the issue there is it's so underpowered. It's almost like 750 territory on the top end, and we're a superbike channel. This is Daily Driven Superbikes, so we're all about getting the best bang for your buck for a certain price point. So without further ado, your episode 1 winner for the best everyday daily driven superbike for under $10,000. And I'm gonna head and say the years. It's 2012 to 14, but the 12 is well in the price range. The 14 with a couple of other optional factory upgrades that in Florida we can live without, it makes the bike around 12 grand. But you can get a 2012 all day long. And the reason we didn't choose a 2010 or 11 version of this bike is because the update they did in 2012 was so significant to how the bike rode. With its electronics intervening, it just made all the difference. So without further ado, this is DDS's first place winner. This is a 2012 BMW S1000RR, as most of you guys know how good the bike is. And this bike from the factory, it's going to give you traction control, it's going to give you ABS, you have a quick shifter. Now of course, this day and age that we're talking 2012 to 14 kind of era, auto blippers weren't even a big factory concern then, but for what you get in such a package, this is the bike. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Italian or European biased guy. I had the Gixxer 1000, and I said had. That's for a completely different video. I'll tell you guys what happened to it. But no, this bike is absolutely the best bang for your buck that you can get as an everyday bike. And I'm only saying that not because it's the fastest, not because it's the quickest, the best handling, but what you get in an all-in-one package is night and day compared to the other bikes at this price range. So most of us, we're not looking for a $20,000 bike, and there's a lot of us that are getting their first bike that they're not even thinking about getting a 1000 at all. So without further ado, and I do want to shout out, thank you Magic for letting us borrow your bike and do this review and test it with a couple of the other ones, and congratulations on having the winning bike. I will put a link to his Instagram down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and ride it and see why it's so good. All right, so now we're on board the 2012 S1000RR. And the first thing you have to say, like if you've never ridden one of these, is it's just so comfortable. Like the ergos on it, I mean, are just next to perfect as far as everyday riding. The clutch, the transmission, the throttle, everything's just so smooth on this bike that's why we chose it as our best everyday super bike. Because yeah, like I said before, there's better bikes, you know, as far as faster or better handling. It's just, you got to understand, like the bikes, like, you know, even a CBR 1000, the RSV4, you know, the bikes that didn't really make the top 3, the reason they didn't get picked is because this episode is all about picking the best bike for everyday driving. If you commute to and from work, if you know, just ride with your buddies, but you know, say you go to your 9 to 5 and then right after work, you know, you go to the bar or you go to hang out with your friends and you take the bike out, like, you know, this is the bike that you can get stuck in traffic in and it's not going to kill your wrist. This is the bike that you can take on long touring rides and, you know, not worry about your hands going numb. And, you know, what we were talking about as far as the price range is the 13 and 14 ones you could get with optional heated grips and cruise control. Now, that being said, those are great things to make this bike even more of an everyday bike depending on where you're at in the world. But the problem is our price range was less than $10,000. You know, you can go to a dealer and find these for 10 all day. You can go to, you know, Craigslist or, you know, online shopping and just find these for a good bargain, 9-10 grand all day. And I want you to know that Maj's bike has 27,184 miles, and he bought this bike a year ago. All right, that is neck and neck with Japanese reliability. I mean, even, you know, you've seen, now they're not in this episode, but you've seen newer bikes that are supposed to be super reliable have problems, transmission problems. I'm not going to point any fingers, 2015 R1. But that being said, for what you get for 10 grand is amazing. I mean, think about it. You can buy a brand new, 17, 18 Yamaha FZ09. Now, of course, that's a completely different bike. That bike is still more comfortable than this because it's more upright and it's got straight bars on it. But you gotta understand, you're paying over 10 grand for that bike with your tax tag and title. This bike, you find one for 9, you're out the door for 10 grand. And what you get with all the modes and everything is just phenomenal. Now, that's coming from somebody that, you know, was riding a Gixxer 1000. Yeah, there's really no comparison, but just being on this bike, it makes you feel really good, but without breaking the bank account, you know. And one thing I really love about this bike that you don't notice until you're on it, so this bike is completely stock except for 2 things. It has a Puig aftermarket windscreen, and it has Sato Racing rear sets on it. So, you know, the rear sets at first take a little bit of getting used to, but the good thing about having adjustable rear sets is they're adjustable. Now, a lot of you people out there that if you're shopping for a new bike, you might hit a gold mine and find the bike that, you know, it's got next to nothing mileage on it, and it's got a bunch of parts already on it, you know, like an exhaust and power commander or some kind of, you know, ECU flash, things like that, that if you're going to get this bike, you're definitely going to keep it for a while. So you can find, for that price range, a bike that's done up more than this. But getting back on topic to where this bike has 27,000 miles, it feels as smooth as the 2014 I rode a few months ago. You know what I mean? It's like the same exact bike, and that bike had, I think, 12 miles on it. So it handles perfect. I mean, one of the biggest things compared, you know, and I want to go ahead and say this so nobody gets mad. The reason Honda didn't make the top 3, because the CBR 1000 is such a great bike, but for what you get for 10K, you know, that 9-10 grand mark, what you get is you don't You don't get traction control. You don't get a quick shifter. And you don't get Brembo brakes. Also, it's about neck and neck with the R1 that we tested on top end power. So it's down on power a lot on the top end. Anything over 8-9 grand, it doesn't pull you through like you want it to. This bike is just a lot of fun. I mean, the reason we chose this bike most of all, you know, like I said, it's not because we're looking for straight line performance or, you know, a drag strip bike or, you know, any one particular thing. What you get for the money is just so much greater than any other bike in this price range. Not to mention, this bike stock about 5 weeks ago when it had 26,000 miles on it, put down 172 horsepower on the dyno. My 14 Gixxer 1000 with 2,000 miles on it and a full system exhaust only put down 158. Okay, so I mean, you got to understand that this thing is not slow by any means, but as far as a daily driver, you don't have to wake up the beast. You can keep it underneath 8 grand at any time, and it's just a content 600. Basically, it doesn't feel nothing more than just an everyday 600. You know, it doesn't intimidate you, nothing. But then you go past that 8, and it's a completely different machine. Not to mention comparing the Brembos. Now, I want you guys to know that this Daily Driven Superbike channel, this isn't a review channel, all right? That's not what we're trying to do. If you go on YouTube, you can see there's, what, millions of different motorcycle reviews. That's not what we're doing this for. We're doing this to show you guys, you know, anybody that doesn't want to spend the MSRP on these new bikes, or for a lot of us, we can't afford them. This show is about what you can get for a good amount of money. 10 grand is not too much. If you finance a couple $100 a month with a low down payment, you know, even if you got bad credit, you can get one for 2 grand down and a couple $100 a month and have a bike that you'd have for 5-6 years probably. Because even now it's 5 years old and it's not outdated. With the other bikes, you know, not just with what you get or what you don't get, there's also the depreciation factor. So spending 10 grand on this bike in 3 years, it might still be worth 8 grand. The other bikes, my bike, you know, the 2014 Gixxer 1000 depreciated $4,000 in 1 year. Now, I didn't buy brand new. I bought a leftover that was already $2,000 off of MSRP, but I bought my bike out the door, tax, tag, and title for a little over, I think, 12 grand. And as of last month, my bike was worth 9 grand selling to a private seller, and about 6,500 bucks trade-in. So yeah, it's safe to say I lost my backside on that. But with this, and it's not just this bike, you know, of course, on your Euro bikes, they don't depreciate as much because they're a lot more rare. But with this bike, anybody that's out there looking to buy something, even 8 or 9 grand, I will be the first one to tell you, spend the extra money and upgrade and get this. Absolutely. Hands down. The quick shifter is buttery smooth. What's crazy is I remember the first time I rode the 2012 to 14 S1000RR, and this was, you know, years ago, but I didn't even think the bike had a steering stabilizer on it because this, like, the front end just feels so light. But it's, trust me, it doesn't. But it's perfect on this bike. And now I'm riding this bike in slick mode, which is the highest of the 4 modes. But one thing I do want to point out, like I mentioned before when we revealed the first place winner, when we revealed this bike, I said something about, yeah, a first time motorcycle rider, you know, their first bike, this probably isn't going to be the bike that they pick. Not just because they're intimidated of the bike, but also with the price range. You know, you can get a 250 or a 300, you know, one of those entry-level bikes for, you know, brand new, 3-4 grand. And this bike, you know, that's more than double what they'd be looking at. But now, on a sense of rideability, you can put this bike in wet mode, never being on a motorcycle before, put this bike on wet mode and you'll feel completely comfortable. You know, like I say, I ride in slick mode, but you know, in wet mode it decreases the way the throttle comes on. You know, it's a lot more linear, but it doesn't peak out the same way. You know, and a lot of you guys watching this video, you probably already know about how the modes work on different bikes, but with this bike in particular, it makes you feel like you're in control of the bike, and it's not going to want to, you know, lift the front wheel up. Now, another good thing, the reason we chose the 2012 is one of the problems with the early model S1000RRs, and I'm talking about the 2010 and 11 models. These bikes have wheelie control, which is something no other super bike in this price range has. And the 2010 and 11 bikes, well, they were very finicky, we'll put it that way. You would take off as fast as you could, and this bike would get to about 8 grand when the power comes on, and the front wheel would lift up about 2-3 feet like with any crazy super bike. But the problem was it would just slam it back down to keep you from, you know, going over your head. But with this, it's a lot more smoother. The way the wheelie control comes in and sets you back down, it's just a lot better, you know. And I think anybody that's shopping for a motorcycle, if you bought this bike, you would not be upset at all. Especially right now when you can, you know, get a 2017 or an 18 new model coming out. Any 600 is 11, 12 grand plus. That's plus your tax tag and title. Even if you get a deal, you get it for $99.99, that bike is still 12 grand, and you're gonna be sick of it in probably 5-6 months. So I really appreciate, you know, all the feedback and support that you guys give the channel anyways, and I hope you enjoy the new show. We want to do a bunch of episodes like this. It's going to be a lot of different criteria for different price points. For instance, we're going to be doing the best drag bike, the best track bike, you know, for the 10 grand range, but also we're going to be doing bikes at the $3,000 range, at the $5,000 range, and you know, we're all about the people and you guys. So any bike that you want to see a review on, please let me know, and we'll definitely do reviews of them. But also, if there's a bike that you think is a contender for a certain price range, then please comment down below and we'll go ahead and fit it in. We'll make episodes around you guys and around all bikes. Now also, if you enjoyed watching the show and this is the first time you've ever been to the channel, I mean, please give it a thumbs up. You know, comment down below. I like to hear people's feedbacks, because that's how we grow this channel and make it better and give you guys content that you really enjoy watching. And if you want to see more and be a part of the growing of it, please hit the subscribe button. But that's all for me today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Episode 2 coming next week. And go ahead and get out there and get on one of these 2012 BMW S1000RRs, and it'll definitely bring a smile to your face and make a difference. Not to mention, it's nice and cool. It's 80 degrees today in Florida, and this bike hasn't once roasted the potatoes at all. I mean, it's great. I really think you guys would love it. And anybody shopping for a new bike that's interested, if you're interested in any motorcycles that, you know, you don't get a chance to ride and you just want to hear a little bit of like our opinion here, then please definitely comment down below. Down in the description there's a link to my Instagram, so if you're not following, please follow, and you can always feel free to DM me just to talk about bikes and things you want to see on the channel. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the feedback and help. Bye guys, ride safe.